Good morning and welcome to our craft session this morning, Wednesday morning. My name's Jenny McCormack. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I'm based in the market town of Brackley in Northamptonshire. If you've been watching my lives or on catch up recently, you'll know that I've been featuring the prized Peony stamp set and matching dies. And I had a whole load from last week, so I'm not going to show those again because you'll get bored. But these were the ones, or two of the ones from yesterday, using the main prized peony image here, and then also here with the addition of the smaller peony and the leaves. And that technique was just stamping on some designer paper, so our patterned paper. Just stamping on that, using that as a background. Today I've got something completely different, just for a change. So today I'm going to be using this die here. Now that doesn't look very much. It comes as part of the die set and it creates a really pretty border or an edge. Let me show you the inspiration for our card today. So I used the edge to cut out from our gold card, and I had these pieces of the prize peonies papers left over from a little while ago. And I thought, oh, it might be nice to introduce that in the centre. So all I did was I cut a piece, and then this is only about 1/2 inch wide behind there. And then I tucked it underneath the top layer, attached it to that, and then put the whole layer onto the bottom. And morning Baz, Yuta, Molly, Jeanette, Verity, good morning. So I thought, oh, that looks really pretty, and I had one of my peony flowers left over, and I thought how nice that would be, because I did one with the peony flower on the background, but I thought how nice that would be to make it be sitting on that row there, and then I will add maybe not a circle but a small sentiment on the right hand side. So I thought that is really nice, how can I do more with that? And that was the idea for today's card. So what I'm actually going to do is create a rainbow card. Now here is my prototype. So all I did was I've cut an 1.5 inch strip. It probably doesn't need to be that deep, but an 1.5 inch strip of each of those 7 colours, and then I've layered them together one on top of the other to create a rainbow effect. Just thought it was really pretty. This would make a lovely wedding card, probably not in rainbow colours, unless you like rainbows, but you could do different patterned paper. For example, white, you could add in some vellum, that would look really pretty. So all I've done is cut strips of card. This is 1.5 inches, as I said. I'm going to pop the die. So this die is slightly wider than, this is a standard card width. My die is slightly wider, so it will cut that right the way through. And then I'm going to layer these up. So I have done a few to start with, so you don't have to watch me do all of them. And as you can see, it's got this lovely embossed detail as well as the scalloping. So it makes a really nice base to some designer paper or just to your base layer. So I've done those ones already, so I'm just going to do the remaining 3 for you. And then I'm going to show you how I put them together. Now with this one here, I'd sort of roughly calculated that if each bit of this was 1.5 centimetres, it would roughly fit on a card. So that was just my practice run. However, if I take a standard A6 card, it's okay on the width because I trimmed it, but it's just slightly too high. So I'll show you what I did. So I'm going to redo this slightly closer together, and I'll show you a really easy way to get these to all line up. Because if you're trying to do it manually, mine would be all different widths, that is for sure. So let me bring my die cutting machine in. Let's take this one out of the way. Hi Deborah. So I'm actually going to take this out of the way because I want the die cutting machine flat on my surface, otherwise it tends to move if you've got it on card or anything. So I appreciate you're not going to be able to see a great deal of this because this is right in your way, and I don't have the ability easily to move my camera up and down, and if I did I'd be worrying about it not going back the way it should be. But hopefully there you can see enough. If I move this over a little bit like so, hopefully you can see enough of that without it being in the way. So all I did was I took my piece of card and placed the blade side down. Okay, now what you want to make sure when you're going through any die cutting machine is that you're not doing it this way, because you've got the most amount of force is trying to cut all of that in one go. This is pretty obvious that you wouldn't really do that, but you want to angle it. Okay, you can do it this way, but then it can put extra pressure on there, so I angle it, always angle it, whatever it is. And then all I did, because I know these pieces are all 1.5 inches, is I've lined the die up with the edges just touching the edge of my card. Okay, doesn't actually matter if it's slightly narrower further up or down, because it's going to cut this piece off, to be honest, and also this bit is going to be hidden, so if one bit is slightly smaller, actually it doesn't matter. So you don't need to be quite as precise as I was trying to be. My plate's slightly warped, so okay, so I'm going to put that on there. Oops, sorry, put my top plate on, squish it down and wind it through like so. Okay, you only need to wind it through once, it'll cut it and emboss it really nicely. There we go, there is our scalloped and cut edge. Do the same with the other two. And I know these are not exactly accurate in terms of rainbow colours, but it'll be good enough. And I do remember my school days that Richard of York gave battle in vain to help me. Okay, so there's another one. See how nice and clean it cuts that. And then our last one. Morning, Carol with an E from sunny Salcombe. And then finally the blue one again. Keep it at an angle. Okay, even the very top part. It's just kinder to your machine. Now our die cutting machines have a 3-year warranty. But obviously if you're sitting there putting things in the wrong way or forcing it or anything like that, that wouldn't necessarily cover it, you know, for misuse. Best description I can use. but all the components and things are covered. Obviously the cutting plates themselves get worn down, and you need to replace those on a, I would say, frequent basis, but it depends on how much you use it. So here I've got my 7 layers. Let me bring this back in because I'm going to be using some glue. And here. So, Richard, I'm going to do it this way, aren't I? Richard of York gave battle. Indigo violet. Like so. So that's going to be my finished layers. Like that. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to start at the bottom. Okay. And I want to lay this one on top of it. Alright, now what I want to make sure is when I come to do the next one that these gaps are the same. So what I came up with was I just cut a piece of spare card. This is the backing from our designer paper, and I've cut this at 1.4 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is literally position this just on the edge, so you can just see the teeth, if you like so, if you can see that. And then I'm going to bring the next one down and just butt it up against that layer. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the next layer. Pop this on here, okay, and then take the next layer on top. So that way I know that each one, within reason, you know, there might be a millimetre here and there, but each one, A, is straight to that, and B is equidistant from each other. So on the one I did here, I did this at 1.5 centimetres. So each one is slightly, and if you can see, so I'm going to bring this down a little bit each time, and hopefully then losing a millimetre off each one will give me just that little bit extra. You could make it smaller again if you want to, but for the purposes of the video, if it was too small you wouldn't really be able to see what I'm doing, but you could literally have it very close up and incorporate more colours. The other thing I thought would be nice was if you had all of the blues. For example, if you took a whole range of blues. Thank you, Deborah and Carol. So you can have it dark going to light or light going to dark, you know, all sorts of combinations. So let's give this a go. So what I'm going to do is just put glue on the reverse of this side. Okay, now what I like about this is that it embosses it, but there's no holes, so you don't have to worry about glue seeping through these holes. And I didn't worry about putting glue everywhere. All I did was put the glue on this bottom bit here. Okay, so you just don't want too much glue, just thin amount of glue like that. And I appreciate you can't really see that on there, can you? Okay, so I'm going to pop my piece on here so that I can just see the tips of the teeth. And these should all be the same width. And I'm literally just going to butt that up against it. And that's one reason why I use slightly thicker card. But you could use quite thick card if you wanted to, and that would be even easier. Okay, so there's our first layer. Now I am going to trim the edges, so I'm not too worried that the edges aren't exact, because these started off the same size. I'm also not worried whether these are exactly in line. They will be within a millimetre or two, because I only had a little bit difference on either end. So I would recommend, when you're cutting your card, is to cut it either to the width of that, so it's nice and even. What you don't want is a long piece of card, so that when you cut it, A, you've got to cut the edges off, and B, you could end up with one of these slightly further over. I don't think it would really matter. I think it depends on the look you would like. These would make great waves, wouldn't they? We've got, it's sort of sunny. It's not as blustery as yesterday, goodness me. Okay, so exactly the same thing, and I've just written on there 1.4 centimetres, but you could make that whatever width you wanted. So if you wanted them really close together, just bear in mind the size of the card that you've got to cover. So I worked out that 7 lots of 1.5 would be my 10.5 centimetres, which is the height of the card. So pop that on there, butt it right the way up, like so. Okay, so if I measure it against this one, can you see it's very slightly higher, so each one will get slightly higher, so I'm thinking this hopefully will fit. And if not, I'd go back and do it at 1.3 centimetres. And this is because I've got 7. So if you had more colours, you would want them closer together. I think also if you had 2 alternating, how nice that would be. And I think you'd find that you could cut out 2 of these at the same time, because with our new die cutting machine, it's much stronger. The pressure of the plates is higher, and when I was cutting out for our class in a box, I was able to cut and emboss 2 of everything at the same time, and I can tell you that makes a real difference to time. The only thing you have to watch if you do that is that the die cuts get sort of pressed together. So if anybody's got my class in a box, thank you Rachel for letting me know that the pieces that are die cut with the four squares and 4 leaves, you may find they are pressed together. So don't think you're missing, well, you might be missing one, there's always that chance. There we go. So you see that's coming together nicely. I know that if I was doing this by hand, by now they would be wonky, for sure. And I'm sure there's other ways that you could use this type of method of spacing. Like so I know I'm talking and working, but it is coming together quite quickly. Like so, make sure I don't put the wrong order. So I'm not bothering about the bit at the top, and I do think having a larger piece does obviously makes this really strong, but also if you cut it too short, you're forever fiddling, or you get the glue over the top edge. So this is 1.5 inches width of each of these strips. So I have to say, when I bought the peonies, I never thought I'd be making a rainbow card at all. And it's a really underlooked die, for sure. If you're interested in finding out how our stamps are designed, and you're on Facebook, which you probably are if you're watching this live, you may not be if you're watching this on catch up, but on my Gemini Crafts page I shared a video, a live video taken yesterday by Sarah Douglas, our CEO, with one of the original designers from the very first catalogue. And funnily enough, she actually designed the Peony stamp set. And it talks through how she actually does it. So she's a design artist, so she does it all manually. She doesn't do it by computer. So she draws the original images when she's been given the idea of what to do. Absolutely fascinating. And she's got some of the original tracings and things that she did. And there's a lot that don't make the cut for whatever reason. And they show some of the original stamps, which, you know, when we look at them now, they look so sort of crude and basic. But so it's quite interesting. If you've got time to watch it, then I recommend you do. And that's on my Gemini Cross page. But you can always follow Sarah Douglas, CEO Stamping Up. Okay, so there's my set of rainbows. I deliberately left this, and I haven't cut this yet because obviously I can vary this depending on fitting to my card. So let me see. Yeah, so what a difference that makes. Just 1 millimetre between each one has made that much more usable on my base card. So I'm not quite sure which card I'm going to use. So I picked out a yellow. I thought I got the wrong one for the minute. Whew. But I'm not sure now of this purple. Speaking out whether I should pick out a colour. So I could pick out a green, or maybe I think the black as a neutral. Now obviously I'm going to trim these edges down and trim the top so that it fits on there nicely. So that was my vision, really, was to use the black with sentiment and just keep it plain like that. So let's trim this down. Find one of my trimmers. Yes, it was good, wasn't it, Carol? Really good. It was a bit difficult to hear them to start with because they had their masks on. But as Sarah got in closer, it was better, obviously. Okay, so all I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to trim these edges because I want to show a border. And I deliberately didn't cut these down beforehand because then if you've got any slightly wonky edges, you've got a chance to straighten those up. So I'm just going to take literally, so this is the correct size, so I can go anything down to really 14 and a half, so about 2 or 3 millimeters of each side. And it really doesn't matter which way. I tend to cut from the back, and I would recommend cutting in the direction of the folds. Okay, now bear in mind that in the middle here you've got maybe three pieces of card. So let's take 3 centimeters off that. Now you can see how good our trimmer is, that it cut through all of those layers in one go effectively. You can see here that was wonky. I'm going to do the same on this one. So I'll end up with, let's see, do that if that's enough. Oops. Sorry, I want to do this. I want to. Jenny, get yourself organised. Why can't I work that one out? Oh, I'll do it that direction. I want to do it in the direction so I'm not going up against the edges. Dear. I haven't had enough coffee yet, you see. That's why. How cute is that little piece? Okay. And then I want this to be... Ideally, I want this measurement, don't I? To make that absolutely accurate, that is where I should cut it. Because I want it to match the others. Whereas on this one, because I was running out of space, this is obviously smaller. So if you're going to do it accurately, you want to measure the top in the same way and cut that down. There we go. Let's have a look and see what it looks like on that. Perfect. So I did cut it slightly bigger along, slightly deeper. So what I'm actually going to do is trim this down because I want this even on the card. So I'm just going to take a tad off that. Literally. There we go, and then I've got a nice border all the way around. Okay, this is a side opening card. You can use whatever glue you want on the back here, obviously. As I've got the wet glue, I'm going to use that. Scribble across the middle, but literally, you know, very fine amount. Okay, open that up. Place it on there. There we go. And this is what I thought was just literally even in the middle. I rarely do anything in the middle like that. Could change the shape of that, I suppose. What else do I have? Oh, I've actually got a green circle from a kit somewhere. So this is a bit too close to the orange, but actually that shape is quite nice. I think that's too big. That's too big. The yellow wouldn't work on there unless I moved it away from the yellow. No, the balance isn't right, is it? That was the one I was thinking of. But I'm not sure that works actually. Let's have a look. No, I think I'm going to stick with my instinct for my circle that I've just put away. There we go. I think this is a nice, the yellow is the wrong colour. Maybe if it was the gorgeous grape, that would work. Put this circle away. There it is. Okay, so I'm just going to go for a straightforward sentiment. Yes. Yes. Yes, there is a centre colour, which is, yes, it does make it equal, doesn't it? Right, let me find stamp set. So I've got Peaceful Moments to hand. This is the right size scale, so Happy Birthday would work. Thank You would be a little bit tight. It could do with a quite, you know, sort of fun, bold sentiment, couldn't it, really? I've got For You, which would fit in there because that's designed to go with the matching framelits with a little star. What do you think? Do you think For You? With a die cut of something in the middle? Well, there's that Birthday Wishes. That's just slightly bigger. A little something for you. I don't know why at the moment I really struggle with sentiments, as you may have noticed. So I've got For You in the circle, a little something for you, or a birthday. I wanted a sort of You're Awesome type sentiment. For You, For You. Birthdays are the best days. I'm going to go For You, and then I can make it into anything. Oh, that's good. I was looking for my template the other day. So this For You has a die cut. So I could even die cut that out. For You. I'm not going to die cut it because it'll make it smaller. I'm going to use the stitching around there to match that. Okay, so what colour next? I think I'm going to do it in black. There we go. See? Perfect. So this is from Warm Hugs from the Christmas catalogue. Oh, that didn't go down straight, I felt it move. So perhaps I will die cut that out. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Phew! Apologies. So I am going to die cut that after all, and then cut this one. This has got a stitched edge, so that will match that. Let me move this out of the way. Bring the die cutter back. Just going to put it off to one side. So I've got the black circle. I could change that colour, but as I've got it there. And then this one, you just want to line up the centre. Don't worry about these bars. Like so, and then that cuts it out really nicely. Find my plate. One of the things we do have for the new machine is a new magnetic plate. Now, if anybody used our magnetic plate from our previous Big Shot die cutting machine, it had very strong magnets, but they were sort of situated in sets. So very often what happened was that the little dies would sort of spin round. Whereas now we have a magnetic sheet, so the whole thing is magnetic. So that will be a bonus. I'm not sure that that isn't too big. Now, oh, thank you, Jeanette. Let's have a look. Just want to measure this in inches. So that's just under 2 inches. So I just wonder if I'm going to go for a smaller circle actually after all. I want sort of 1 3/4 maybe. Just 1 1/2. Give me a tiny edge, and I could change the colour if I didn't want it in black. Let's take a larger circle. Let's have a look and see. And then I could put something in the centre. Do I cut a star or a heart or something? That's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to pop this on flat and then the other with dimensionals. Like so. So if you're on Facebook, you'll see lots of photographs of dogs today, as it's International Dog Day. So if you share a photo of a dog or a dog project on my Facebook page, I will send you a little dog card. And I'm just wondering if I've got so I've got a heart would fit in the centre. I think that should fit in. So I might just cut that, or a star. Maybe I'll do a star because then it's a little bit more versatile. And shall I do it in the green? Or I could do it in the glitter. I do happen to have, this is yonks old, but a bit of green glitter. Shall I pop that through, see what it looks like? Hi Moretta. There we go. I'm looking forward to having our small die cutting machine, because then I'll just be able to have it here and use it really quickly. I'm just going to cut this off camera rather than bring everything up there again. She says. There we go. That mimics the green of there, doesn't it? So I'll put those dies away in my packet in a second. Okay, so I'm going to put that on dimensionals and that whole section on dimensionals. I need a small one for that. So I realised that the light was really bad day before yesterday, for which I apologise. Well, it might even have been yesterday, and that's because I had my, it must have been Monday, had my blind up, and it was very sunny, wasn't it? And the webcam can't cope with that amount of brightness, and it's not directly on it, so I apologise for that. So always feel free to comment and say if it's out of focus or you can't see it, because there's no point me doing a video if you can't enjoy it and see what I'm doing. There we go. Going to push that down lightly. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7. Yes, I had a feeling that was slightly to the right. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. There we go. There we are. Really happy with that. So all I'm going to do is decide what I'm going to do with this one, because it's too big for my card, but I've obviously cut it to the card size. So what I might do is I could trim off the red one altogether, but then it'll be too small. I could perhaps cut this into strips somehow and use that. So I'll have a think as to what I could do with that, unless anybody's got any brilliant ideas. There's nothing jumping out at me. I could cut them into other pieces and just use them underneath something. I don't know. I'll come up with something. I'll think about it. But that is my finished card, which I'm happy with. So the secret was this little piece of card. So this is for Moretta, who joined us a little bit later. When I've cut these out of strips, which were 1.5 inches deep, and then I just used this, placed it on the piece, and then brought the next one down do the same thing, do that all the way through, and I'll keep that with the die. Okay, so this is also from the Peony set, so that when I come to recreate that another time, and I do think that would be nice in alternating colours. You could take all of our blues, so you could have Night of Navy, Misty Moonlight, Peacock, Pacific Point, etc., all the way down to Seaside Spray. That would also be really effective. So there we go, and the inspiration for that came from this piece of card, which you may remember me doing when I did a split design, and then I'm going to pop my peony on the top. I've got another one I can just see on the floor, it's just fallen off, and it was that gave me the idea to do the rainbow. So there we go. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I will let you go as it's approaching 10 to 11. I'll pop a photograph of this, and this one will be finished, and I'll pop a photograph of that on the website. So the dies that I used were the Peony Garden dies, matching the Peony stamp set that I've been using. I may have one more peony design left for tomorrow, so we'll see. So that's Thursday. If you can join me live, that'll be 7 p.m. in the evening, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much for your attention and for joining me. If you're watching on replay, thank you too. Any questions, please feel free to comment. This video will be uploaded to YouTube in the next 5-10 minutes, so if you prefer to watch on there, then please do. Thanks so much indeed. Take care everybody, stay safe, look after each other, look after yourselves, and keep crafting. Thank you. Bye bye.